Call of Duty has a bunch of different studios that work on their game. As a multi-billion-dollar franchise, they have a lot of people working on their games at all times. The three major studios that release games are Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Infinity Ward. Now, amongst those three studios, two of them are generally perceived as good. They often put out good games and listen to the community when they're not only making the game, but even after the game is released. Those two studios are Treyarch and Sledgehammer. Notice how I only mentioned those two studios as good studios. That's because the third one, Infinity Ward, is generally perceived as bad. The reason being is because they unfortunately have been putting out bad games, and they don't listen to the community at all when making their games or even after they release their games. This is the same reason why I think Infinity Ward sucks. I think that they are honestly a terrible studio at this point and don't know how to make a good Call of Duty game. Just look at their track record. There's the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Ghosts, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022. Out of all of those games, one of them is considered to be good by most fans, that being the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The rest are considered by most fans to be either terrible games or even the worst games within the series. Now, some of you might be wondering, what about the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare or the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? They were both made by Infinity Ward as well, which yeah, you would be right, except they were made by a different Infinity Ward. While it was the same company, it was a completely different set of people for the most part that made the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare and the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Unfortunately, after the release of the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, there was a bunch of legal issues between the original Infinity Ward staff and Activision. Apparently, Activision didn't want to pay the original Infinity Ward staff properly, which resulted in a huge dispute. That dispute ended with most of the original Infinity Ward staff either getting removed or flat out leaving. Even the two co-founders of Infinity Ward had gotten removed from the company. Luckily for them, in the end, it worked out because they, along with other members of the original Infinity Ward staff, went on to make Respawn Entertainment. If you don't know, Respawn Entertainment went on to make the game Titanfall and then would later be picked up by the company EA and would go on to create the games Titanfall 2 and even Apex Legends, which actually has a huge player base and is a very popular game. As for Call of Duty though, with pretty much no one working at Infinity Ward anymore, they had to hire an all new staff. That new staff would be considered the new Infinity Ward, which would go on to finish making the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and so on. What I find funny is the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was started by the original Infinity Ward, and that's honestly probably why that game was considered to be good, as the rest of the games the new Infinity Ward staff would go on to make were all terrible games. But why is the new Infinity Ward staff so bad at making Call of Duty games when Treyarch and Sledgehammer are able to make what are considered to be good games? Well, I think it's because of one simple thing. That one simple thing is the fact that the new Infinity Ward doesn't listen to the community at all when making their game. At this point, as a community, we know what we want out of a Call of Duty game. While obviously not everyone will be on the same page on what they want, I think at least the majority of the community can agree on certain things they want within a Call of Duty game. From the guns to the maps to core features to even how the matchmaking system works, I think the majority of the Call of Duty community can agree what they like and what they dislike in a Call of Duty game. This is something that the studios Treyarch and Sledgehammer acknowledge. They know that most people want this thing in the game and most people don't want this other thing in the game. So when making their games, they try to center that idea of what most people want and don't want around their game. Even upon the release of the game, if they don't exactly hit their mark, they will still try to improve upon the game with that same idea in mind. This is something that the new Infinity Ward doesn't do. It seems like when they develop a game, they just like to do their own thing. They will center the game around what they want in a Call of Duty game and not what we want as a community. This has resulted time and time again in a terrible Call of Duty game, all because they don't want to listen and would rather do their own thing. They will even go to the extent of putting stuff in the game that the majority of the community doesn't like and take stuff out of the game that the majority of the community does like. A good example is their most recent Call of Duty game, that being Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 could have been a really great game if they just listened to the community when making the game. The majority of the community can agree that we all wanted a faster style of movement and to have slide canceling in the game. We also all wanted things like the classic minimap to return, reload canceling, map voting, dead silence as a perk, and good maps. However, we didn't get any of that. Not a single one of those things were in the game. In fact, they even went the complete opposite route on some things like the movement, for example. They completely slowed down the movement in MW2. Everything from the running, tack sprinting, jumping, sliding, mantling, and strafing all got slowed down. They even removed slide canceling from the game entirely, even though the majority of the Call of Duty community said they wanted faster movement and slide canceling in the game. Not only did they not put stuff in the game that we asked for, but they also put stuff in the game that we didn't ask for that didn't need to be changed at all. For example, they completely changed the perk system and added weapon tuning. These are both things that no one asked for or even wanted, yet they still put it in the game. This resulted in the majority of the Call of Duty community hating Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 and deeming it a bad game. It also didn't help that while they could have fixed the things that they did wrong and added the stuff that we wanted, they didn't do that at all. They could have made the game so much better after the launch, but they chose not to. So as you can assume, most people were frustrated with the game and ended up abandoning it. Honestly, it's sad to see it happen because it had so much potential to be good. But of course, the new Infinity Ward doesn't care about us at all as a community and won't listen to us at all. You could see it in every game they've released. They always just do their own thing when making a game and make drastic changes to the game that aren't needed. If Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 was anything like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023, then they would have made a good game. However, because the new Infinity Ward doesn't care at all, but Sledgehammer does, you could see why people like one game, but not the other. Sadly, I'm not sure if the new Infinity Ward will ever change because Activision won't tell them to change, since all they care about is the money and don't care about the fans of the game at all. So they won't stop whoever is in charge of Infinity Ward at all and make them listen to the community. That just gives whoever is in charge of Infinity Ward the free will to do whatever they want, so long as they still bring in the money. That's why we as a community should just stop buying Call of Duty games made by the new Infinity Ward. Then their profits will drop and they will be forced to listen to us. Unfortunately, I don't see this happening at all though, as most people, myself included, will most likely fall into the trap of them making promises that this year is the year they'll finally make a good game and actually listen to the community, which will probably be a lie, like always. That way they could still do their own thing and profit at the same time, which just makes the cycle continue to repeat itself. This is why the new Infinity Ward sucks and is such a terrible game studio. In conclusion, Call of Duty has a lot of game studios that work on their game, but the three main game studios that actually release the big title Call of Duty games are Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Infinity Ward. Amongst those three studios, two of them are good, that being Treyarch and Sledgehammer. However, Infinity Ward on the other hand sucks. The reason being is unlike the other two studios, they don't listen to the community at all when making their games and continue not to listen to the community after they release their game. This has resulted in every Infinity Ward game that has been released being terrible, or at least the ones made by the new Infinity Ward. See, there was a completely different staff of people who worked and ran Infinity Ward when they made the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare and the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But after the release of the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, most of the original Infinity Ward staff were removed or left. So they had to get a whole new staff of people, which is the people who make the Infinity Ward games we have now. Obviously, they don't know how to make a good game because all of their games suck, so it's safe to say that the new Infinity Ward sucks. It's sad to see because if they just listened to the community, then they would actually put out good games. As a community, we could just stop buying the new Infinity Ward games, but I don't think that'll happen, and I don't think the new Infinity Ward will ever change. So unfortunately, we're stuck with these terrible games until one day they're forced to finally listen to us and put stuff in the game that we want. When will that day come? I'm not sure. But for now, it's safe to assume that when it's time for the new Infinity Ward to put out a game, it'll most likely be a terrible game because Infinity Ward sucks. That's it for me though. What do you guys think about the new Infinity Ward? Do you like them or do you think they suck? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like. And if you want more content like this, then subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.
Taking fire. Switching mags. Grenade out. Grenade out. There it is. Switching mags. Changing mags. Grenade. Taking effective fire.